Okay, we got another edition of the Dugout Talk with the Downs Bros. This is
Okay.
your brother Tommy. I am Tony Downs. Tonight, I'm gonna actually drill Coach Tommy with some questions,
Go.
short and sweet, and we'll knock this thing out of the park. All right, T. So we've talked about this a couple times, but we're gonna reintroduce it again.
Hey, speaking of that, dude, where's your glasses at, man? You can't see, bro. You got some problems. Get your glasses.
Man, here, let me put them on for you. I can see now. Like, dude, damn, you're ugly as hell. Anyway,
get your peepers on, man. Get your peepers on.
I know. Anyway, so when should an athlete start like reaching out to you? You're an NAIA college coach.
So, good question. So as of right now, I'm in the fall of 24, right? So 25s are pretty much cleaned up. There's only going to be I think they say, what's the odds? It's like 25%. And come January of that senior year is what's left of.
So when you say, explain yourself though, when you say are you just done recruiting for 25s now?
I mean, we're looking for maybe one, maybe it just depends. I mean,
what position?
I mean, we're
pitcher.
Obviously, we're looking for the best athlete utility unless we can find some phenom pitcher or somebody that we have to look at. But again, it's just how late we are. It's just the odds are very, very small, very, very small. I mean, it can happen. It has happened. I've had it happen, but it's just
yeah.
So I mean, obviously, the 26th just started September 1st for all divisions pretty much. I like to be right behind the D1s. I'm trying to get whatever's left, and I want that type of talent. So we're hot and heavy on 26s. I just started talking to 27s. We're putting them on the page and putting them on the list, and eventually we'll start making a short list for them as well. But we try to stay at 1 or 2 year look. Obviously 28s are going to be out there a little bit, but we see them at our camp still, and we want to see them. It's good. So yeah.
So, but I know you've recruited freshmen before, and so much so that you have a couple on your team right now that you have been looking at since their freshman year.
Well, I mean, funny story. One of them, I was watching at a tournament, and I thought she was playing 16U, and I'm like, oh, great. Let me talk to this kid. She's like, yeah, this is a 14U team. I'm like, wow, you guys are legit. So I'll talk to you in a couple of years. But she ended up going to a bunch of camps that I was at. So you kind of build, like I said, for NAIA, it's great because you can kind of build those connections. You can get to know athletes a little bit, their families. Yeah. That's kind of how you kind of connect and go, hey, look, and I like this coach. I like what he does. I like what he teaches. I believe in what he does. And, so you want to connect to people like that, and that's where it kind of starts. But again, you can't do that at every level, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Just because of regulations and just timing of things, right? It's just tough. Yeah. So you're buying people based on what you see and what their future is.
Investing in them. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I'm looking for high character. I'm looking for kids that aren't going to ever quit. And sometimes it takes a while to see those things. Sometimes it does, Well, you get to know who they are and what they are.
Yeah.
That reveals itself pretty quick.
Yeah. And they're young. They're still learning, right? It's a learning process, right?
Sure.
And that's why we're doing these podcasts to help advance that learning process, I think, anyway. Yeah. So another question for you. This comes up all the time. You and I go at it about this in a good way, not a bad way. But players' positions. You have a player that says, listen, coach, I'm a catcher only. That's all I've ever done in my life. Is that important to you? Or are you looking for more like somebody that can play other positions, especially at the college level? Because how important is that for you? I mean, I know why, but I want you to tell these guys why it's important to kind of play other positions.
I mean, obviously, if you're unique position like a pitcher or catcher, I mean, either that's your bread and butter or it's not. But or if you want to, hey, look, I'm a hitter, I hit well, and I'm a pitcher or catcher, I want other opportunities to play the positions, then fine, you better be versatile. The kicker is that often I get somebody going, hey, I'm just a first baseman. I'm like, well, that's tough, because if you're not the best hitting first baseman, that means you're going to be sitting on the bench, and you could be possibly good enough to hit somewhere else, but you can't play anywhere else. So I can't play you anywhere else. So now you're sitting on the bench and you're a 300 hitter maybe. That makes no sense to me. So being versatile is huge, I think, especially at, anything under D1. I think that you kind of have to be. And as some D1s, you need to be that way, because I've seen it where they recruit a shortstop, and next thing you know, hey, they're a second baseman, or hey, they're a first baseman.
Yeah, I mean, I know a young guy that, I mean, I coached when he was really, really young, and he actually played in high school. He was a shortstop forever, and then they converted him to a catcher, and now he's playing AAA baseball for the Mets, and he's a catcher, first baseman, and he's been a shortstop most of his life, but he's an athlete first, and that's important, because this comes up. We're going to talk about it. It's, it's elephant in the room all the time, but I don't know why it happens, but we want to convert a lefty to a catcher, and you don't see catchers in college.
It's hard. I mean, it's rarely. I mean, I've seen a couple even at D1, Power 5 I even seen, but it's
rare.
They have to be.
It is, you guys. It is rare. It is so rare that you're doing your son or daughter almost a disservice, because if you're a lefty, I mean, you should be on the mound or in the outfield or at first base. That's 5 positions out of 9. But you cannot play short, you cannot play second, you cannot play third, and you cannot catch. I know you can try and you want to break the mold, that's great. But if you're not getting better at those other 4 positions,
here's a great example for you. I brought in 10 freshmen this year, 7 of which are really utility. So they could possibly play anywhere in the infield, maybe a pitcher catcher combo with one of them, or maybe outfield. So now if they're hitting well, if they're out hitting other positions, it's going to be they're in the mix of possibly playing somewhere else based on their hitting. So why wouldn't you want to do that for yourself? Why would you want to cuff yourself to a position or maybe 2? I mean, again, being an athlete's great. I mean, be out there and be a student of the game, especially when you're younger. 12U, 14U, 16U, get out there and
play everywhere.
Positions, man.
Play everywhere.
Don't just say, hey, my dad wants me to be the shortstop because he's the coach of this team, and that's where I'm going to be. Well, that's fine. That's great. But here it is. You go to college, and now they're like, well, I recruited 15 shortstops, and now you guys are playing all over the place. Now you're playing center field. Oh, you don't want to play center field? Oh, then it looks like you don't want to play then. That sucks. We'll find something.
Let's take it to a big league level. Let's say you're behind Derek Jeter for 15 years. You're never going to get a major league job. You better be able to play somewhere else, or you're never getting to the big leagues, right? And that's the case with a lot of colleges. Yeah. Their shortstops and their center fielders are their studs of the team. Yes?
It's tough, man. It's tough.
Yes?
Yeah, it's tough.
You agree?
So I can say, well, let's spin it like this. Most coaches, not all, most coaches, when they're out there recruiting, let's say, hey, look, they need to field, 2 infield spots, 3 infield spots. You think they're all taking second basemen and third basemen?
Yeah.
No, they're taking the best shortstop player on the
team. Tommy does. He triangle with depth.
On purpose.
Man, I swear to God.
I don't know, man. I have some kind of weird connection with third base catchers. I don't know what my deal is, man.
You know what it is? Every time we're out there, we're like, all right, we're going to look at a shortstop pitcher.
I know.
Boom. Center fielder, right fielder. Then all of a sudden, he's like, dude, did you see this third baseman? I'm like,
no way.
We're not having that conversation.
It's not even necessarily that. It's just like all of a sudden they start talking to us, and I'm like, oh, well.
No.
We're bringing in 3 third basemen.
No.
Like, yeah, I also play short too. Dude, I'm like, good.
You're so full, bro. Listen, he's so full of it. I can't tell how many times we're out at a camp, and he's like, did you see that third baseman's arm? And I'm like, oh, we're not looking at third baseman's, bro. Well, she might be able to play shortstop. I'm like, maybe. I mean, but we're not looking at third baseman's right now.
It's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah, he's attracted to the and he's left-handed, by the way.
Yeah,
he's left-handed. Yeah, he's attached to third baseman catchers.
Yeah, man. I don't know what my deal is, man. At least slapping is. I mean, I always tell people, I'm a lefty guy, so slapping is a big deal for me, and power hitting, be on the left side is a big deal, obviously. But again, not everybody's left-handed either. So, but I think it's important to have both on your team, especially pitching.
Yeah, listen, I coach both of my kids to be left-handed swingers. I absolutely agree.
I know. My daughter's a right-hand thrower and a left-handed hitter. I get it, man.
Yeah, but if my kids threw with their left hand, I'd break their arm off. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, no, I'm right-handed, so I can't teach them left-handed. But Tommy can. My older brother can, but not me.
Yeah.
So last question, T. Last question. So how important is GPA for these athletes that are a freshman, sophomore in high school?
This is what I tell all families. And I tell every recruit I ever talk to, I'm like, unless mom and dad are loaded and money doesn't matter, your GPA matters. It matters to your family. It matters to you. The reason why is because base it like this. I come in with a 3.5. It's pretty good money. I come in with a 4.0. I'm going to probably be max academic aid, which could be a ton of money at some schools. So when you're giving away 2 or 3 or maybe $5,000 a year because you don't have a 4.0 and money's tight, that's a lot of money out of somebody's pocket.
Yeah, it could almost be like 90%, right?
Yeah, we're talking a lot of money here.
Just academics.
I've seen kids come in with a 3.0 and they're out of pocket like $25,000 a year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, if mom and dad don't have the money, that's a loan. That's coming out of somebody's paying that off. So my point is that I always tell people, especially don't give me a start on the AP classes thing. I don't want to. That's another 15 talk. But
yeah, no, let's definitely talk about that in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just briefly say.
No, actually, Tommy, 30 seconds on it because it's important.
Okay, briefly say this. AP classes are good because you're going to get done with school sooner. But remember, if you want to be a college athlete and you want to play 4 years, you have 4 years of eligibility. So if you get done early, now you either have to do a double major, minor, or a master's. Nobody's going to pay for the master.
Yes, they pay for it.
It's all out of pocket. So AP classes really aren't for athletes if you look at it like that. And put it like this. If I take an AP class, it just happened to 2 of my athletes. I get an AP class and I get a B plus and I don't get the A I thought I was going to get. Now I'm down under that 4.0. Guess what? I just lost up to $1,500 a year.
And it happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
You know why? Because their high school counselor said you need to take AP classes. You plan on going to college, you got to take AP classes. Yep. They hire these teachers. They hire these counselors to push that. You guys, that's the God truth.
And again, like I said, having the 4.0, I don't care if you're taking basket weaving. It doesn't matter. If you apply with a 4.0, you're getting full academic aid. Go get your 4.0, you guys. Don't listen to anybody else. Go get unless mom and dad are rich and money doesn't matter, then cool. Then go walk in with whatever you want. But if it matters, you get that 4.0, you work your backside off.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it does matter, but I think that if you're listening to Coach Tommy right now and he's literally telling you that AP classes for a college baseball or softball player, it doesn't matter as much as if you're just a regular student at the school. Cut it shorter so you don't have to pay as much. Absolutely. But as an athlete, if you're going to play 4 years, you're hurting yourself, literally, because now if you do screw up in one of those classes and you have one of those teachers, you're going to lose money. Your parents are going to have to pay more money. So it does you no good. You just take your gen ed classes that you have in high school, enjoy yourself, get straight A's, and come out, get full academic need and all that other. I mean, you guys, as a recruiter, I'm telling you, this is what you need to do to be successful. Okay, T. That's the end of this podcast. Thank you guys very much.
Deuces.
We'll talk soon.